There's a version of financial peace of mind that most people never find, and it's not their fault. It's because they were never shown how to achieve it.
We've had this conversation probably 1,000 times by now with clients in their living rooms, on the phone, on Zoom. And for the ones that get it, it has nothing to do with their job, their income level, or anything like that. It has to do with their mindset. There's a certain kind of person who discovers this concept and really doesn't necessarily understand it intellectually. But then something shifts. The way they think about a dollar changes. The way they think about the future changes. And they really can't explain when it happened. They just know that it did. Those are the people we built this show for.
Wes is a lineman. He works with his hands, he keeps the lights on. And 3 years ago, he made a decision that most people at any income level, in any profession whatsoever, never make. He decided to stop being a customer of the banks and become his own banker. What he's built since then isn't remarkable because of the numbers, even though those are remarkable. It's remarkable because of what it took and what it says about what's actually possible. Wes Howard, welcome to the Wealth Warehouse Podcast.
Let's get into it.
All right. Welcome to the show, Wes. Good to see you, buddy.
Thanks,
man. You're one of those clients that we talk about stuff that doesn't even have to do with infinite banking necessarily sometimes. So it's fun to have you on the show, man. We've talked many times, texted a lot, but good to have you here, man. So tell us a little bit about yourself. What do you do? I think we already told the audience a little bit about maybe your profession, but where do you live? What's your situation? What do you do, man?
Yeah, it's great to be back on, guys. I really appreciate it. Long story short, my name is Wes Howard. I'm a lineman from North Texas area. Worked for a couple of different companies, worked with a bunch of different contractors doing storm work. Made a lot of contacts that way. But basically, I wasn't controlling the banking function. I didn't know any better other than what the traditional world tells us to do. So, not going to not take blame. It was for sure my fault. Some decisions along the way. But once I seen and peeked behind the curtain of IBC, I could not unsee it. And I've been going 100 miles an hour with it ever since. And I absolutely love it and I eat it up.
Yeah, you have. You've been one of those clients that just from day one, I remember getting on the phone with you. And I think I was working with you predominantly. And Paul, did you have conversations with Wes as well right away?
Not until policy number 2 or 3, I think.
Yeah. But I remember talking to Wes and man, it was like we couldn't start fast enough. He'd read the book, he'd done his research, and I want to talk about what you were doing at the time. Like, what did life look like before you heard Nelson's message about the infinite banking concept? And I want to specifically talk about maybe one route you started going down that we ended up correcting path and moving you into the correct product for the purposes of banking, right? So what did your finances look like before you started all this?
Yeah, absolutely, man. It's funny. I've been debt free a couple of different times and I've had a wad of money a couple of different times and I messed it up all 4 times. So, the traditional Dave Ramsey route, went down there a few times and then I got into some multi-level marketing. Realized that I had the wool pulled over my eyes, wasn't real sure. And then I ended up falling into an IUL trap that was really good marketing. Again, my own fault for not diving into that all the way. And then in the middle of all that, we did a remodel of this property and we got way behind and COVID hit and everything else. Life, right? It's going to happen regardless. So it snowballed on top of us and I kind of had that, oh crap moment. And that's when I stumbled on you guys. And so I dove into the book and I didn't understand it at first. So I read it 4 times before I called you guys and it was just unreal. I realized what I had messed up and what this potentially could be, but I had no idea how awesome it really was.
Yeah. So let's talk about that IUL because we've done a few episodes, Paul, where we've talked about the index universal life or any version of universal life variable, whatever it may be.
My favorite.
Your favorite. Yeah. It's a show favorite. But you got into IUL, Wes, prior to even learning about infinite banking. So it wasn't IBC that got you into that. what what appealed to you with that? And like, why'd you end up going down that path? Because I think you were in there for, was it like a year
I was in there a
or
little over
less?
3 years.
Oh, a little over
Wow.
3 years. Okay.
Mhm.
So yeah, what got you started down that path?
Uh, the long-term thinking, right? And the numbers and a calculator that looked good for fighting against inflation and taxes whenever I got to retirement, because the number one thing for me was taxes I can't control, right? And I didn't want to be, but just like all of us, I was in bed with the government through the IRS and I didn't have a say or a way out. So I started looking down that, talking with a couple of their guys. And of course, you're sold a bill of goods, and here I am eating it up, not realizing or knowing any better. I'm sure I was a sucker on their end, but, it looked good. Those numbers were going to be twice as what I was going to be able to withdraw every year. Uh, but it turns out they're simply not reality. And I'll give a shout out to James and Jake Nethery. Like they say, it's going to cannibalize and eat itself. And the more you showed me and we looked at that, I was like, oh no. And I was pretty deep into it. I won't, my wife don't like me to throw the numbers out there, but it was a lot of money and that was on me, man. So I had to take the hit with that. And that's why when IBC did come along, I was a little reluctant when I first read the book. It was something foreign to me, but the more I read, the more it was evident that this was the route.
Yeah, we run into that from time to time. People have some scar tissue from past experiences with whether as a financial advisor, a different product, a different message, a different strategy. Because again, like you said, yeah, the numbers can look great, right? But numbers on a page don't necessarily translate to reality, especially 20, 30, 40 years down the road, right? And we know that about the universal life product. So we're glad,
But I think you were attracted to that product for the right reasons, which actually are the reasons you were attracted to infinite banking. I'm going to assume you were talking like a long-term strategy. You weren't thinking IUL as a way to quickly arbitrage somebody else's money. Not that it really is in an IUL, but that whole arbitrage and tax play today and all that. But you were interested in long-term strategy. How do I get tax-free income during retirement years, which may be decades away? Um, so that's great, man. Um, and then you stumbled upon IBC. Did you say you found us and then Nelson's book, or the other way around?
I found you guys first. I actually found it through just a regular life insurance agent, and he kind of led me onto it, but he wasn't a practitioner or anything. And I was grateful that he was open and honest about that. He said, look, I do a lot of PNC and other things as well. And I can do this for you, but if you're serious, you need to look into the NNI. Looking back, I think that's pretty rare. I was pretty grateful for him to do that. And I
yeah.
actually shared a few conversations with him, but he's the one that actually spit out the Wealth Warehouse podcast. He said, well, check these guys out. And so once I did, I said, these guys are right up my alley. This is going to work out. So
Do
then
you
I
remember
dove
his
into the
first
book.
name?
Man, I don't. I can look it up and find it.
Yeah, look it up and find it. I'd be curious to see who that was.
Yeah,
Maybe we've run across him at some point. Who knows?
for sure.
Well, that's pretty cool. Somebody who could have maybe taken some of your business, done a subpar job, but he recognized he wasn't the right fit and didn't have the right expertise.
Yeah, that's it's somewhat rare. I appreciate that. It's always good to see that in the industry because we have enough black eyes in this industry, I think. And it's not the first time either. We've had other clients referred to us, which is interesting, from listeners that aren't clients, and they say, "Hey, listen to these guys," and their friend becomes our client. It's great. It's weird at the same time.
I'll tell you guys, Nelson mentions about getting into a wealth group there towards the end of
Mm-hmm.
the book.
Mm-hmm.
And I've done that. I've gotten into a group. And it's funny because everybody in that group is either practitioners or they're working with somebody that is. I'm the only one that's not. So I'm extremely fortunate. And what's funny is there's a recurring theme. Every time somebody new comes in or I get to meet with them, I tell them that I'm, affiliated with you guys. And immediately they're like, dude, that's awesome. Those guys are great. So it's the same reaction. And it gives me gives me a little bit of, I guess they kind of appreciate that I'm not just somebody out there flapping. I kind of have some resources and some brothers behind me helping me along. It gives you a little credibility when you go into those conversations. So that's always nice.
Right on. Did when you first heard about it too, like you had done the IUL thing, you had some experience with that. You were in the right mindset, like Dave was saying earlier. You were thinking long range. You were thinking about tax strategy, especially in retirement when you want to pay less taxes if you can, right? Um, did you have any initial skepticism, like a lot of people do, about the whole life product? Talk to us through any of that, and maybe you didn't. I don't know.
Well, I for sure had red flags that go up just because of what you hear in the Ramsey camp, right? And
Sure.
just like Nelson tells us, most people's understanding is because of somebody else's misunderstanding. And that's exactly where I was at. I didn't ever dive into it before because it was such a taboo subject and a no product, right? Uh, Looking back, that's silly, right? But I didn't know anything about whole life. I just knew it was bad. Turns out it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Hey,
I owned it and I really hated it. I hated paying my premium, and gosh, how much that has changed. Anyway, sorry, Dave, I interrupted you.
yeah. So you said you read the book 4 times. So after you read it the first time, so for the person listening who's maybe read Nelson's book, Becoming Your Own Banker, once and just like, man, I really don't get it. Or I've got too many questions. It's still too confusing to me. Was that your situation? Like, why'd you read it 4 times before contacting me or Paul?
I'm going to be honest. First of all, I'm a slow learner. So it was complete Chinese algebra at first. I said, what is this? But then I read this book, Building Your Warehouse of Wealth.
Ah,
And something about that clicked with me. So I read it twice. And then I went back and I read Becoming Your Own Banker 3 more times. And I said, holy cow, I'm sold. I got to make this happen. And the big thing for me was legacy. I'll be honest with you. My family, God, family, and then everything else. And I try to live that out and be convicted by that every day. But I didn't want my family to be sad and poor whenever my time came and I graduated. I want to leave them something. And that's another thing that's important. It's not just the money. The money's a means of exchange and a tool. We always talk about that. But I want them to have that core set of values. And that's you can just see it coming off the page, especially when you watch Nelson's his interview. This is Nelson Nash. Uh, if that don't hit you, I question your red-blooded Americanness, I guess. I don't know how to say it, but I mean, that's who you want to do business with. You want to surround yourself with those types of people, right? So when you stumble and fall, somebody is there to pick you up. Now, they might be hard on you and hold you accountable, but that's a good thing, right? It makes you want to be better.
what?
Yeah.
I'll say this to the audience about Wes Howard here. He's one of the more, I would say, well-read IBC clients that we have out of, I don't know how many, Dave, between the two of us, 600 people or so. Wes you are listening to a man who understands, who gets it, I guess, is an easy way to say it. He really understands the infinite banking concept and the why behind it, and at a high level. So you're really listening to a guy that has graduate level understanding of, or maybe even PhD level understanding of Nelson's message. So I just wanted to throw that out there real quick. Let me ask you this. So did the IUL thing, discovered us, read Nelson's book, read Building Your Warehouse of Wealth, went back to Nelson's original book, Becoming Your Own Banker, read that again, and we're like, okay, I get it. Was there additional convincing that Dave had to do with you on client, advisor calls and on those early days? Can you think back, either of you? Because I wasn't there. I see the name pop up like, oh, Wes Howard out of Texas, great. Like,
For
I
me,
can't think of
I wanted
anything.
to interview, what kind of people I was dealing with because it was affecting my family. Honestly, I can live in a tent with a bologna sandwich the rest of my life. I don't need much, but I want more for my family, right? So when I was talking with Dave, it didn't take 5 minutes, and I said, "Yeah, this is where I
Yeah.
need to be." And as we got, I think we didn't talk, but maybe 10 or 15 minutes that first time, and that's all it took. And we had maybe 3 or 4 conversations after that, but they were pretty short and sweet and simple.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because
I think
oh,
that's
go
a
ahead,
lot
Dave.
of it is you got to find the right personality fit. I've had people who talk to me and then they've said, "Hey, I've talked to so and so and so and so. I'm just kind of, seeing who the best fit is." And that's completely fine. Because there are going to be people who maybe fit your situation or your personality or your values better than somebody else. Even though in the in and I, if they're a practitioner, most people are pretty similar minded on many things, and especially around values and valuing, like you said, God, family, everything else. But I like that you said legacy. Like that was one of the kickers there. But you had legacy with the IUL, right? You had a permanent death benefit, a permanent death benefit. So when did you realize that, oh man, this is what I want to do, but I'm using the wrong product to do it with?
When it was on a recurring term chassis, I'm going to be
Oh,
quite
they didn't
honest.
tell you that, did they?
That pissed me off. It got me pretty wound up.
Yeah.
Again, not for me, but my family, right? If it's just me and some random dude, we can just square up and settle it. But when you start taking from my family, I get pretty agitated and irritated pretty fast. And so once I realized that thing was just going to eat itself down, and the zero floor, the thing they sell everybody,
Yep.
the more frustrated I got, and the more I realized, wait, these numbers are going away. But not only that, when we looked into it, after my third or fourth, I think it was fourth premium I paid them, talking about quite a bit of money, and I realized I couldn't get it all out. I had a wait
Mhm.
period anyway, and I said, well, that sucks too. Turns out the concept is what's better, but even if it is about just product, this product sucks too. Whole life is way better.
Oh yeah. Yep. And I remember you were one of those people who said, I'm just going to suck it up. It's a lesson learned. I'm going to take the surrender of it, and whatever that cost me, it cost me. But I don't want to sit on this thing for another 7 years to wait out that surrender charge period. And when I could be doing something over here that's going to build permanent wealth, guarantee, certainty, and all that, and everything that comes with it.
Yep.
So
And there's hundreds of thousands of people, Wes, that have those things and aren't going to do that. They're gonna keep plugging away at it, and they're gonna wake up someday probably with a surprise, like a big surprise. No permanent death benefit. I think it's cannibalized itself, and now they've paid premium for all these years and have nothing to show for it. So it's a problem.
Yeah, there's a gentleman that's targeting our specific industry, and I'm not going to say what it is because I don't want to give him a shout out or the name of it at all. But I
yeah,
had a pretty colorful conversation with him, and it was respectful up to a certain point. But I finally got him to admit, well, the deal is I can make these show a lot better on paper. I said, okay,
yeah,
so you're telling half truths, and how am I not supposed to take that personal? You're directly targeting my industry.
yeah,
I don't understand. How do you think I'm not going to take that personal? So
yeah. At the end of the day, what he's saying is it's easier to sell if I show
right,
you this. I just slide this piece of paper across the desk and let that paper do all the talking for me.
right.
So yeah, when it comes to that, yeah, the ease of the sale with
What's
IUL,
beautiful
I think
about
that
IBC is you don't have to sell it. It sells itself. It stands on truth.
Yeah, it really does. Stands on its own for
yeah,
sure.
I like that. So I've worked with people across every profession, every income level, just like Paul, and some who just will not commit to a premium. And I've worked with people like Wes who just decided to do it. The differentiator is never the paycheck, never how much they make. It's always the mindset, 100% of the time. And the people who delay always have an excuse, right? The people who act always find a way.
Yeah, IBC doesn't care what industry you work in or how much money you make. It cares about that you have the ability to rethink your thinking, just like Nelson Nash teaches us. Wes Howard figured that out. That's the whole game.
Here's what separates the people who get results from the people who don't. It's not who's got the best illustration. It's not who pays the highest premium. It's who actually builds the system and then uses it. Wes didn't just open a policy and put it on the shelf. Let's talk about how this actually unfolded. So, Wes, let's talk about when you did your first real IBC style policy. So you got rid of that IUL. We, 1035 that, started your whole life policy, properly structured, optimally funded, and you put it to work. Last week, we did an episode on the capitalization phase. So I guess technically you're kind of in that capitalization phase, right? You've had it open 3 years or so. Just tell us about it. What's that been like for you, like the early years of this policy?
Well, my situation was we were riddled with some debt from this remodel. And I'm not going to say it wasn't from bad decisions, but there were a lot of factors that were involved in there. And we did a good job on the property, but now it was stuck into the walls of our home, right? It was stuck into my 401k, which was locked up. So I thought for just a second, wait a minute, I just opened this. What am I doing? Let me practice becoming my own banker. So I took my first loan pretty early on just to kind of test the waters, just to be honest with you. I got it and understood it, but there were still some nerves there, if you will. But you guys walked me right through it, and I immediately decided on that one I was going to pay back a little bit per month just to see if I could create a habit. And then anytime I got storm work or some overtime, I would dump in more so I could try to tackle that more efficiently. I actually just got to finish some of that up just this past week as well. So that was nice.
So you fully
Which
repaid your
creates-
loan?
Yes, sir.
Oh, nice.
Yes, sir.
Congratulations.
And I knew that I was going to have a little further horizon from what our situation was. So I was trying to give myself a little bit of grace. I'm so fortunate. My wife is so graceful with me, and she was pretty nervous at first because there were some huge numbers, and it makes you look pretty bad as a husband and a father when you've got a couple $100,000 that's on the wrong side of things. But once you can play this into this policy, because that time is going to pass anyway, just like what Nelson used to tell us, why not do it in an efficient manner and do it with IBC so you can recapture all that interest? And the more you go, the more you look forward to it. I look forward to paying our policies more than I do our birthdays now. I love it.
Nice.
It is pretty good. The truth is, Wes is just, he's in his early 40s now. So it's birthdays are,
Tries
don't
to
want
forget
to
about him, but
forget about it.
he's a grandpa though. He's a grandpa already.
Yeah.
That's right. And he's got his own policy as well.
Yep. Sure does.
Yep. And who's responsible for that one?
We are right now. But
Yeah. Nice. So you're teaching the next generation. So grandkid has a policy. You got the kids on board yet?
I've got one of them, his own policy, and we're working on structuring the other two. There's some more conversations involved there with some life that's happened.
Yeah.
But we're working on that. I think we've got a total of 5 and working on 6 maybe.
Right.
Yeah,
I love it. So you
someplace.
not a one and done.
No, sir.
So Wes, was there any either internal to your own mind or external, from Uncle Bob's or former coworkers or something that were like, "Hey man, like this is stupid. Why are you doing this?" Was any of that into your mind the last 3 years, or any kind of poking and prodding from people in your circle?
Yeah, absolutely. My sweet wife finally said, "Look, I'm going to give it up to prayer, and I'm going to pray that God either thumps you on the head and gets you straight or straightens me out and figures out that you got something going here." So I owe everything to her and guiding me and being supportive through this whole thing. She just kind of handed it over in prayer. But it was funny at work. There's a IBC root beer brand, and so that started a pretty hilarious joke
Yeah,
with about 50 dudes.
that's right.
And so they're always telling us, there's a couple of other guys that are clients of you guys as well. And they're like, yeah, we're invested in this root beer company with Wes. And so it's funny to listen now because I'm not one to say I told you so, but one of these days you're going to be able to say that,
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. That's got to be tough. I mean, so you got naysayers, of course, we all do when you talk about this process and the product. How have you kept over the last 3 years yourself grounded so that you're not constantly rethinking your decision? How have you made sure that you're not just on an island by yourself saying, okay, I did this thing. Now I gotta, keep it going. And even though everybody else is telling me not to do it and to do something different, like how have you battled that?
Two different things. First of all, I stay in the books and I listen to, I don't know, 20, 30 hours worth of podcasts and audiobooks every week. I'm ate up with it, man. I absolutely love it. And the other thing is surrounding myself. Like I said, I'm involved with that group, and everybody there is either a practitioner or involved with somebody that is. And there's people from all across the country. There's a couple of guys from Florida, one from Oregon, California, a couple from Pennsylvania, one in Carolinas and Louisiana, and I think there's 3 or 4 or 5 of us from Texas. But surrounding myself with those guys that are ahead in their journey as I am, and just bouncing ideas off of each other. It's an accountability group, but it's also a business ideas group, growth, everything mindset. Going back to wanting to be better, I think it's your right and responsibility as the man of a household to do the best job that you possibly can for your family. And that's what I've tried to stay in contact with other gentlemen that has that same mindset.
So how is this a virtual group? You guys meet like monthly, weekly? How's that
We
work?
meet
And how'd you find that group?
we meet every week, and it's through a Zoom, and there's usually an outline there. It's an hour long, but we touch base with one another or any kind of projects that maybe somebody has or any growth opportunities and things like that. The beautiful thing is I'm involved with one of those through you guys as well. So it's created a natural networking opportunity because some of those gentlemen, as I share it, they're like, oh yeah, the thing with David Paul, we're already in that. I'm like, okay, never mind. Cool. So it's kind of nice.
Okay, so if listening to Wes today, our outstanding guest, clicked for you today, here's what you could do next. Go to the wealthwarehousepodcast.com. Take our free course. It's completely free. There's not like a click funnel or anything. Take the course. Read Becoming Your Own Banker. If you're watching on YouTube, I'm holding it in front of the screen. This is my original copy. You can read this book. This is the first book I read. This is The Case for IBC, also a great book. Can't go wrong with either of them, quite honestly. But those are the books that got all of this started. We were all where you might be at once upon a time. We were all there. Doesn't matter, right? You got to start somewhere. And once you've done that, book a 30-minute strategy call with either Dave or me, and we'll give you some very straight talk of whether you can implement the infinite banking concept or not. Anybody can. The question is, do you have what it takes?
Yep. And if you know a Wes Howard in your world, someone who works hard, who thinks long range, who prioritizes his family and his legacy, and they haven't heard about the infinite banking concept yet, send them this episode. Listen to it on the job site like Wes does. One conversation can change the direction of a family for generations, and they'll thank you for it. We've watched it happen. This is the Wealth Warehouse Podcast. Thanks for being here. Until next time, control your capital.
Or somebody else will.